Anxiety almost destroyed me, but it woke me up too. The world outside was calm, but inside my mind was screaming. I never saw it coming. Anxiety doesn't knock politely, it barges in uninvited. One day I was living my life, and the next, I was trapped in a silent war that no one else could see. I smiled at friends, laughed at jokes, but it was all an escape. My body was exhausted from constantly running from my own thoughts. Nights stretched endlessly, sleep a distant memory. Simple tasks became mountains to climb. What others saw as weakness was just the fatigue of being strong for too long. I remember the moment it hit me. I couldn't keep running from myself. The first step was facing the storm inside. Breathing became a conscious act of rebellion against the chaos. I realized that letting go of control, as terrifying as it seemed, was a disguised relief. Calm didn't arrive overnight. It came in whispers and moments of clarity between the panic. I wasn't broken or flawed, just overwhelmed by life's weight. Learning to feel without drowning became my daily practice. The tempests taught me to appreciate the gentle breezes. Healing began when I stopped blaming myself. The fact that I was still standing, still breathing, was a victory in itself. Each day I chose to face my anxiety was a battle won. It nearly destroyed me, but it also awakened something deeper. Now I understand. The loudest screams are often silent. Behind smiles can hide hurricanes. But even in the darkest nights, dawn always comes. Anxiety became my unwelcome teacher, showing me strength I never knew I had. I started noticing the little things. How sunlight danced on leaves, the comfort of a warm cup in my hands. Gratitude became my lifeline. Every calm moment was a gift to be cherished. The world hadn't changed, but my eyes had opened. Slowly, I learned to befriend my mind, to listen without judgment, to sit with discomfort without fleeing. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Like taming a wild animal, patience and persistence were key. There were setbacks, days when the old fears returned with a vengeance. But now I had tools. I had understanding. Each wave of anxiety became an opportunity to practice resilience, to prove to myself that I could weather the storm. Friends noticed the change. "You seem different," they'd say. I was different. Stronger, yet softer. More aware of my limits, but also of my potential. Anxiety had carved new depths in me, but also revealed hidden strengths. I started sharing my story, hesitantly at first. To my surprise, others opened up too. We were all fighting silent battles, carrying invisible weights. In vulnerability, I found connection. In honesty, I found freedom. Meditation became my daily ritual. At first, sitting still was torture. My mind raced, my body fidgeted. But gradually, I found moments of peace, islands of calm in the stormy sea of my thoughts. These moments grew, expanded. I learned to question my thoughts. "Is this true?" became my mantra. Often the scenarios my anxiety painted were just that, paintings, not reality. Distinguishing between real threats and imagined ones was liberating. Nature became my sanctuary. Walks in the park, hikes in the mountains. They grounded me. The vastness of the sky, the steadiness of trees, they reminded me that my problems were just a small part of a bigger world. I started journaling, pouring my fears onto paper. Seeing them in black and white often stripped them of their power. Some days I wrote pages, other days just a sentence. But each word was a step towards understanding myself better. Therapy was a game changer. Having someone listen without judgment, offer tools and perspectives, it was invaluable. It wasn't always comfortable, but growth rarely is. Each session peeled back another layer of self-discovery. I learned to celebrate small victories, getting out of bed on a bad day, making a phone call I'd been dreading, saying no to commitments that drained me. These weren't small things. They were huge in the context of my struggle. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. Not to what it was before, but to something new, something stronger. I set boundaries, chose my battles, prioritized self-care. It wasn't selfish, it was necessary. I couldn't pour from an empty cup. The panic attacks became less frequent, less intense. When they did come, I had strategies. Breathing exercises, grounding techniques, positive affirmations. They didn't always work perfectly, but they gave me a sense of control. I discovered the power of routine, regular sleep, healthy meals, daily exercise. These weren't just good habits, they were armor against anxiety. Structure provided safety in a world that often felt chaotic. Music became my emotional outlet. Some days I needed soothing melodies, other days empowering anthems. I created playlists for different moods, different needs, a personal soundtrack for my journey of healing. I learned to laugh again, really laugh, from the belly. To find humor in the absurdity of some of my anxious thoughts. Laughter became a form of defiance against the darkness, a reminder that joy was still possible. Helping others became a source of strength. Sharing what I'd learned, offering a listening ear, it gave purpose to my pain. My struggle could be a light for someone else still lost in the dark. I started practicing gratitude daily. Even on the worst days, I could find something to be thankful for. The warmth of sunlight, a kind word from a stranger, the comfort of a favorite book. Gratitude shifted my focus from what was wrong to what was right. Forgiveness was a crucial step. Forgiving myself for the times anxiety had held me back, for the opportunities missed, the relationships strained. It wasn't easy, but it was freeing. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was unwritten. I learned to reframe my thoughts. What if everything goes wrong became what if everything goes right? It didn't eliminate the anxiety, but it opened up new possibilities, new perspectives. Physical activity became a vital outlet. Running, yoga, dancing, moving my body helped quiet my mind. The endorphins were a natural antidote to anxiety. Even on days when I didn't feel like it, I made myself move. It always helped. I started setting small, achievable goals. Completing them built my confidence, showed me I was capable. Each accomplishment, no matter how minor it seemed to others, was a victory over anxiety. Mindfulness became my superpower. Learning to be present, to focus on the now rather than worrying about the future or regretting the past. It took practice, constant reminders, but the peace it brought was worth the effort. I discovered the importance of self-compassion, treating myself with the same kindness I'd offer a friend, acknowledging that I was doing my best, that recovery wasn't linear. Some days were harder than others, and that was okay. Creativity became an unexpected ally. Painting, writing, crafting. Losing myself in creation provided respite from anxious thoughts. It didn't matter if the results were good. The process itself was healing. I learned to recognize my triggers and develop strategies for each. Some I could avoid, others I had to face. But knowledge was power. Understanding my anxiety gave me the tools to manage it. Connecting with others who understood was crucial. Support groups, online forums, places where I could be honest about my struggles without fear of judgment. These connections reminded me I wasn't alone. As time passed, I noticed changes. The world seemed brighter. Opportunities where I once saw only obstacles. Anxiety was still there, but it no longer controlled me. I had learned to coexist with it, to use its energy as fuel rather than let it consume me. Looking back, I see how far I've come. The journey wasn't easy, and it's not over. But I'm stronger now, more resilient. Anxiety almost destroyed me, but it also woke me up to a life lived more fully, more authentically. I'm still here, still fighting, still growing, and that itself is a victory worth celebrating. Anxiety taught me about strength, about resilience, about the power of the human spirit. It nearly broke me, but in the end, it made me whole. Anxiety almost destroyed me, but it woke me up too. The world outside was calm, but inside I was screaming. My mind was a battlefield, and anxiety was the relentless enemy. It didn't knock politely. It barged in uninvited, turning my life upside down. I remember the first time it hit me. I was standing in a crowded room, smiling and nodding. But beneath that facade, a storm was brewing. My heart raced, my palms sweated, and the walls seemed to close in. Every day became a silent war. I'd wake up, put on a brave face and step out into the world. But inside, I was crumbling. The weight of expectations, both real and imagined, crushed me. I smiled. I laughed. I pretended everything was fine. But it was all an escape. A desperate attempt to outrun the demons in my head. Little did I know, you can't outrun what's inside you. My body grew weary of this constant flight. Muscles tense, jaw clenched, always ready for a threat that never came. The physical toll of mental anguish is real, and it's exhausting. Nights became endless. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through every worst-case scenario. Sleep, once a refuge, became another battleground. Simple tasks became monumental challenges. Ordering coffee, making a phone call, even stepping outside, each action felt like scaling a mountain. The world became a minefield of potential panic. I thought I was weak, fragile, broken. But now I realize I was just tired of being strong all the time, tired of fighting a war no one else could see. The turning point came when I stopped running. I faced my anxiety head-on. It was terrifying, like staring into an abyss. But it was also the first step towards healing. I learned to breathe again, really breathe. Deep, intentional breaths that grounded me in the present. It sounds simple, but in those moments, breathing was an act of defiance against anxiety. Letting go of control was paradoxically freeing. I realized I couldn't micromanage every aspect of my life. The world didn't fall apart when I loosened my grip. It was a disguised relief. Calm didn't flood in overnight. It came in trickles. A moment of peace here, a quiet mind there, slowly, steadily, like a gentle tide washing away the debris of anxiety. Began to understand that I wasn't flawed. I was overwhelmed. My anxiety wasn't a personal failing, but a sign that I needed to make changes, to listen to myself. Learning to feel without drowning was a delicate balance. I had to embrace my emotions without letting them consume me. It was like learning to swim in choppy waters. The storms of anxiety taught me to appreciate the calm. Every peaceful moment became precious. I learned to savor the simple joys I once took for granted. Healing truly began when I stopped blaming myself. Anxiety wasn't my fault. It wasn't a choice. Letting go of guilt was like putting down a heavy burden I'd carried for too long. I'm still here, still standing, and that itself is a victory. Every day I choose to keep going is a triumph over anxiety. It doesn't define me, it's just a part of my journey. Anxiety almost destroyed me, but it also woke me up. It forced me to confront parts of myself I'd long ignored, to reassess my priorities and rediscover what truly matters. Now I see anxiety as a teacher, a harsh one certainly, but one that taught me resilience, self-compassion, and the strength that lies in vulnerability. I've learned to be gentle with myself, to treat myself with the same kindness I'd offer a friend. Self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. The journey isn't over. There are still hard days. But now I have tools, coping strategies, a better understanding of myself and my triggers. I found power in sharing my story, in breaking the silence around mental health. Every time I speak up, I chip away at the stigma that keeps so many suffering in silence. Anxiety showed me the importance of connection, of reaching out and letting others in. It's in our relationships, our shared experiences, that we find strength and healing. I've discovered the healing power of nature, of walks in the forest, of feeling the earth beneath my feet. Nature doesn't judge, it just is. And in its presence, I can just be. Mindfulness became my anchor. Learning to be present, to observe my thoughts without judgment, has been transformative. It's a daily practice, but one that grounds me. I've embraced imperfection. The pursuit of perfection was fuel for my anxiety. Accepting that I'm beautifully flawed has been liberating. Creativity has become my outlet. Whether it's writing, painting, or music, expressing myself artistically helps process emotions that once felt overwhelming. I've learned the power of no, setting boundaries, prioritizing my mental health, even if it means disappointing others sometimes. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. Gratitude has shifted my perspective. Even on the hardest days, finding something to be thankful for helps lift the veil of anxiety, if only for a moment. I've found strength in vulnerability, admitting when I'm struggling, asking for help. These aren't weaknesses, they're acts of courage. Anxiety taught me empathy. Now, when I see others struggling, I understand. I can offer support from a place of genuine understanding. I've learned to celebrate small victories, getting out of bed, facing a fear, having a good day. These are all wins worth acknowledging. The journey has taught me patience. Healing isn't linear. There are setbacks, but they're not failures. They're just part of the process. I've discovered the importance of routine. Structure and predictability can be comforting when anxiety makes the world feel chaotic. Laughter has become medicine. Finding humor, even in dark moments, has been a powerful tool in my recovery. I've learned to reframe my thoughts, to challenge the negative narratives anxiety whispers. It's not easy, but it's possible. Now, I see my sensitivity as a strength. It allows me to experience life deeply, to connect with others, to create. It's not a flaw, it's a gift. Anxiety almost destroyed me, but it didn't. I'm still here, stronger, wiser, more compassionate. It woke me up to a life lived more authentically, more mindfully. This is my story. A story of struggle, yes, but also of hope, of resilience, of the human spirit's capacity to not just survive, but to grow through adversity. If you're struggling with anxiety, know this: you're not alone. Your feelings are valid, and there is hope. The journey isn't easy, but it's worth it. You're worth it. Remember, the storm doesn't last forever. The sun always rises again. And sometimes, it's in our darkest moments that we find our greatest strength. Anxiety almost destroyed me, but it woke me up too. To a life more real, more vibrant, more authentically mine than I ever thought possible. And for that, paradoxically, I'm grateful.